Yesterday, news broke that Michigan head football coach Jim Harbaugh is negotiating with the NCAA to serve a 4-game suspension in response to a recruiting violation, one that was labeled Level 1, which means it's super, super serial. What was that violation? Apparently a hamburger was purchased for a recruit from the Little Brown Jug. Thank God they didn't order the fried cheese balls, or this would be an 8-game penalty. How, in an era when college athletes are making millions of dollars from collectives and for their name, image, and likeness, are we even discussing this? I mean, put straight cash in the cheeseburger bag and everything's good. Leave the actual burger in the bag and you're suspended. I've long joked that the NCAA stands for never cares about athletes. But being anti-burger is downright un-American. We're talking about the same organization that allowed a man to hoist a trophy in women's swimming, now somehow wishes to demonstrate moral authority. This is a witch hunt of the highest order, and this aggression will not stand. Coach Harbaugh, do not negotiate with these cowards. Call their bluff. What are they going to do? Bar you from entering the big house in the name of Burgergate? No chance. But Michigan fans, listen up. If Coach Harbaugh does serve this suspension, it will be a net positive for the Wolverines. Here's why. The first 4 games are winnable regardless. And for the past few months, as the college football conversations have heated up, all I've heard is how great Michigan is. Their roster's elite. They're favored to win the Natty. It's all rat poison. And quite frankly, is it warranted given how the past 2 college football playoff appearances have gone? But now the narrative shifts. Now there's a rallying cry. The boys can say, we've got our backs against the wall, a chip on our shoulder. Let's circle the wagons for our head ball coach. And if that happens, then go win it all. Do what the Atlanta Braves did 2 years ago when they won the World Series after being stripped of the All-Star game. Go win the national championship and force the powers that be to stand on that field and hand you that trophy in person. And if not for yourselves, do it for the rest of us who are tired of hearing grown-up Georgia fans bark in our faces.
Woo.
Look, if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong.
Cone.
If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong.
What happened to the Michigan men?
Huh?
These days. Just a good, classy.
Yes, they're up there coaching football.
Rule breaking.
Oh, here you go.
These days.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I saw this and I was just disgusted.
Oh, you were disgusted.
I was disgusted.
Yeah, the glizzy gobbler over here.
I'm not out here breaking rules, though.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not out here breaking rules. What are we going to do in society?
Okay.
If Jim Harbaugh out here is breaking level 1s, right? Level 1s. You talk about the cheese balls. You talk about the cheese balls. I don't even know if the cheese balls are needed. She needs to be suspended.
Have you ever had the fried cheese balls at Little Brown Jug? I know the answer is no. I think they are triangles.
The fried cheese triangle.
And yes, they're delicious.
I bet they are.
Talking about a hamburger.
I bet they are.
All right, down to the nuts and bolts of it. Yeah, it sounds like that was like level 2 violation, something with the burger, but then Jim Harbaugh was being evasive when the NCAA, you know, they come in like the mob boss and they corner you. I've been on the other side of the table when I was playing for Rich Rodriguez at Michigan and practices were going too long. Were they going too long? Of course they were. I didn't want to get banned from a bowl game, though, or something crazy like that in my senior year. The NCAA, they do this, right? They sit him down, and at this time, there was a point in time where maybe Jim Harbaugh was still considering going to the NFL. Remember all these rumors swirling after the playoff loss to TCU. Word on the street is he said, I can't recall. You know, like, I can't recall what you're talking about. I can't recall that meeting, anything like that.
I love that.
So now all of a sudden, bumped up to level 1, and there's a possibility of him missing 4 games. I'm not even going to get into the whataboutism of, oh, well, what about, you know, Urban Meyer with fewer games with the domestic violence? I don't want to talk about it. Or the, you know, Tennessee gets a slap on the wrist. They fired their head coach. That's a different situation. LSU will wait. These are different situations. All I'm saying is, we're talking about the same organization here, the NCAA, right? They want to come down with a 4-game suspension for a coach getting a kid a hamburger, if that's what happened, if that's the details on what happened here, when we have a new era with name, image, and likeness and collectives, and guys can be multimillionaires in the college game. Y'all haven't even proposed any leadership on that issue. You're begging Congress, speaking of which, we're going to have Tommy Tuberville on this week, Senator Tommy Tuberville, who's leading the charge on that legislation. But you're begging Congress to fix all your problems, and now all of a sudden you want to jump in and say, no, you know, taking a kid to lunch or something. or meeting with a kid when it's COVID time or whatever the details of it were. That's a 4-game. That's a third of your season.
4-game, and I believe the coordinator's going to be gone for one game.
I think Sharon Moore is going to be suspended for a game.
It's amazing. Yes. It's amazing the battles that the NCAA picked.
That's my point.
Right.
That's my point.
It makes no sense at all. But I do think we can sit here and say if this 4-game suspension does happen, I mean, the 4 games that he will get suspended for, you got to feel pretty comfortable about winning.
So I'm going to read that
winning
schedule.
Those 4 games.
I'm going to read that schedule. But to your earlier point, yes, if there were, I don't care if it's a hamburger or if it's $1 billion. If there's a rule and the rule is intentionally broken to gain an advantage, then yes, hey, you got caught. Like, serve your punishment. Like, that's one thing. I'm just not convinced. In an era where kids are making millions of dollars, that a rule was broken, first of all.
No.
I mean, all I hear from my SEC friends is Jim Harbaugh's the guy who's too nice. He follows the rules too much. That's why they can't win at Michigan. That's what I hear about Jim Harbaugh, is this guy, he's more concerned with integrity than winning. And to my response is, hey, there is a certain standard at the University of Michigan. I like that Jim Harbaugh graduates a lot of his players and that you don't have stories every other weekend about players getting in trouble. That's something that we pride ourselves on. Can we have that and win at the highest level, which the past 2 seasons he's proven to be able to at least break through and win the conference. So, but my point is, look, from an integrity standpoint, if rules are broken and you get caught, then you have to serve some sort of punishment. 1, I'm not convinced rules were broken here. 2, how does the NCAA find out about something like this?
Yeah, that's
like, you're going to tell me if this was Nick Saban, would we even be talking about?
That was going to be my question to you next. If Michigan's in the SEC, does this happen?
Of course not, but it could be for a few different reasons. That's what I haven't been able to pin down yet. Let's just take Nick Saban as an example. This situation happens, of course. We're not even talking about the story because it would never get out.
No.
Is the reasoning for that because Nick Saban follows the rules better, or when he bends them, does so in a smarter way and doesn't get caught? Possibly. Is it because the University of Alabama and all the surrounding staff around that school and around SEC schools, they care more about the football program, so they overlook these things in a way that maybe another school like Michigan or schools elsewhere around the country, they don't? That's also possible. Or is it just because Nick Saban is sort of above the law? And is one of those few coaches who's above the law, and if the same thing landed on the NCAA desk, that they would overlook it. That's also possible.
Yeah.
Of those scenarios, what do you think is the most likely?
I don't know. Well, 1, I do know Nick Saban is above the law when it comes to the NCAA, 100%. But 2, I kind of got the feeling that, do you think if Jim Harbaugh would have maybe cooperated more in this situation, this wouldn't have happened? Because you go back to what you said when they talked about the situation that happened that he doesn't recall.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe it's something like that, but when it comes to the NCAA, nothing they do makes sense. All right, like is this like, go to the Tennessee situation, like with the scholarships? Is it worse to get those scholarships taken away, all right, or to miss 4 games? Like even
for your head coach?
For your head coach.
That's an interesting question. I mean, and like I said, I'm going to break down Michigan's schedule here. I think the schedule does matter, and you never want to be without your head coach. But losing scholarships, that hurts for a long time.
Yeah,
that stings for a while.
Yeah, true. So I mean. There's levels to it, I'm sure, but the NCAA, is this how the NCAA shows like who they are? Like their teeth in the situation or something like that? Is this how they come out and be like, you know what, we're going to stand up and do what's right, y'all?
We still have power. Yeah, I mean, to your question on if Jim Harbaugh had cooperated more, that's a possibility. Maybe we wouldn't be talking about something as severe as missing games with a suspension had he done so in a different manner. But look, I'm not surprised that Jim Harbaugh doesn't have any respect for the NCAA. Who really does right now? And, maybe that's part of this too. Maybe there's just truly a witch hunt out against certain coaches around the country.
100%.
Or programs, possibly, with him being one of them. Here's the schedule right here. And obviously, the main narrative on social media once this news was announced, almost with every comment, is, well, what does it matter? The first 4 games are cupcakes. The non-conference at Michigan is a joke, which for back-to-back seasons now, they're not necessarily wrong. And it's something that I've complained about. I want to see the toughest teams. I want to see the biggest games for Michigan and to sell out the big house. We've seen that upper deck not really be sold out some, which is kind of surprising.
Which is crazy.
It is surprising. Now, last year a little bit different because they had a game, I believe it was against UCLA, that fell through, kind of like Georgia's this year with Oklahoma. Fans around the country were saying this narrative yesterday. I hope not Georgia fans, after reading off their schedule this week.
Yeah, Georgia fans.
Yeah.
Which I need to get. I need
to get David Pollack back.
They're still killing everything.
Because David Pollack came at me last year on Michigan's schedule, and I owned it. I said it's far too soft.
Song, right?
I still have to sing the fight song. But now I want to hear what David Pollack has to say when we get him on next time about Georgia's schedule when Oklahoma fell off. Not their fault. Either way, here it is. East Carolina, UNLV, Bowling Green, where my offensive coordinator, Scott Loeffler, is the head coach, and then Rutgers. Okay, you never want to be without your head coach, but those are the first 4 games of the season. They're all at home, and that's the week before you would go on the road to play Nebraska. Now, one last point I'll make before you just obliterate this soft schedule here is, I remember hearing that, in 2007, that Appalachian State was a rollover game too. And I had to live through you talk about having a nightmare.
Yeah. But that was 2007.
You talk about someone busting in your house at 2 a.m.
2007. But I mean, there's always a chance.
You saying I'm old?
I mean, a little bit, yeah. I mean, who isn't? I'm a little bit old.
All right, well, you grow up.
I'm 2 years from 30.
Why don't you grow up and catch up?
I'm 2 years from 30, so trust me, I'm getting up there. But I mean, if there are going to be 4 games that you can't coach, it needs to be these 4 games. I will say this though, ECU sometimes can be a problem.
For sure.
Sometimes
I was born in Greenville, North Carolina.
Like, they got some athletes running around, but UNLV, Bowling Green, Rutgers, you're going to run through those teams. Jim Harbaugh being out is going to be a big deal, but the one that kind of almost worries me a little bit more is your offensive coordinator being out. Who's going to call plays for y'all? I mean, who's and in which game is he going to be out for? Is it going to be the first game of the season? Is it going to be the 4th game of the season? Is it going to be the 2nd or 3rd? If it's me, please be the 2nd or 3rd, because I would not want it to be ECU or Rutgers. Are you more talented at all these teams? Is your schedule super soft? 100%. But the thing about me is, like, look, man, I'm fine with it. If I'm a head coach, I'm not going out to schedule the best teams in the nation. I'm not Notre Dame in this thing.
Okay, so here's the latest on that. The NCAA's investigation into recruiting violations at Michigan has swept up another big name. Offensive coordinator Sharon Moore, along with head coach Harbaugh and tight ends coach Grant Newsome, are expected to face sanctions resulting from alleged recruiting infringements during the 2020 COVID dead period. Harbaugh is looking at a 4-game suspension like we talked about, pending approval from the NCAA Committee on Infractions. Moore and Newsome are also slated to face undisclosed sanctions. This news puts a spotlight on Moore, who is speculated to serve as an interim option if Harbaugh's suspension takes effect.
Okay. Is during the 2020 COVID year? You bought a kid a
2020 COVID year?
Like, do they got receipts? Like, how do they know? What is it, a Venmo situation? Like, how do you know that this kid bought, like, they got guys sitting in the diner where they bought it?
Yeah.
Is there a van outside sitting in the street? Is everybody wired up? Like, how does the NCAA know this?
That's one question I would like to know, and I'm working on that. I have calls out.
Yo, you got people.
I have calls out.
Dave.
And 2, trust me, I understand the concept that the cover-up is always worse than the crime, right? Like, you get in trouble for perjury more than you do the
100%. Yeah.
But at some point, and again, I'm still not convinced a crime was committed, and we're unsure that Jim Harbaugh lied about it. I'm just saying, hypothetically, if he did, doesn't the lie, it still matters what he's lying about.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. This just
a hamburger? Maybe Burgergate 2023.
Maybe the NCAAs just hate khakis.
They're anti-cleats.
But Michigan, Michigan kind of fits the narrative what the NCAA likes a little bit. I mean, when it comes to maybe men and women's sports.
Oh, there you go.
I mean, y'all got a girl as your quarterback's coach.
I don't know if I think that was a 1-year thing.
Is that a 1-year thing?
I don't know.
100% on that?
I tried to forget.
Okay, so that's where it's weird to me, because usually, like, they're high-fiving in what the narrative, the messaging they want to a certain wokeism when it comes to college sports.
Yeah, you're not wrong, but I think Harbaugh is such a renegade that he's just kind of made a lot of enemies, maybe.
Yeah.
And I think this was at a time when he still possibly was going to the NFL, or thought that he might, or honestly just didn't have a whole lot of respect for.
Well, maybe what if he goes to the NFL now?
I mean, will this drama just get, so what do you think about the point that I made where this will actually be a net positive for Michigan, though? I mean, you never want to be without your head coach, but like I said, these first 4 games are winnable. But after that, now the narrative can shift. The narrative can shift and they can put their backs against the wall and say, hey, look, they're out to get us, rather than this, we're flying high with the greatest roster we've ever had and we're favored to win the championship. What has Michigan done the last couple of years that make them favorites to win the championship? Now I think the narrative will shift, that locker room will become more insular, and this could be a net positive. Am I wrong?
Look, no, I don't think you're wrong. It could go to that way. There's nothing better than a head coach telling them out that, look how scared everybody to see what we could be.
Yeah. I mean, Kirby Smart won a national championship and then told the next team we're going 7-5.
7-5.
Now he's telling this team my biggest fear in the world is complacency.
Yeah. Like, you can spin this in the right direction for sure. And Harbaugh knows how to spin it. I mean, absolutely does. Every good head coach knows how to spin stuff into the right messaging. Right? You see that with Kirby. Jim will know how to do that. Y'all just need to take care of business these 4 games. Right? You take care of business these 4 games, then it turns into a positive, and you can use that momentum to ride into your meaty schedule this season.
All right, Booster Club, y'all tell us, where are we right? Where are we wrong? Does Jim Harbaugh deserve to get suspended? Is the NCAA on a witch hunt? I think I know where you will side. Let's talk about Nugenix. Guys, are you ready to boost your testosterone and get your old self back? Our sponsor, Nugenix Total T, is offering a complimentary bottle. I think that still means free. When you text 231-231 and enter keyword Crain, C-R-A-I-N. Nugenix is the #1 doctor-recommended testosterone boosting brand. Blaine, show them the muscles. Show them the muscles. Tell the people about it.
Come on, dude. I mean, come on. You think you just get this on the reg? You know? Like, from an energy standpoint, from just waking up and feeling great, hopping out of the bed like you're possessed, you got to get on.
You got the testosterone levels back up, right?
Back up. Right? I'm sitting 800 right now.
How long was after you were taking Nugenix to where you felt like you could feel a difference?
I would say a week and a half.
Okay.
A week and a half is really...
There you heard it.
Well, really, when you start to feel it on a daily basis.
Nugenix Total T contains key man-boosting ingredients like testofen, validated by 5 clinical studies and backed by years of research. Unlike other products that use generic ingredients, which are far less than clinical grade, Nugenix Total T gives you the same clinical potency levels used in trials. Right now, get that complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T when you text 231 and enter keyword Crain, C-R-A-I-N. Get a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, their most powerful fat incinerator ever, with key ingredients to help you lose fat and get lean fast. Absolutely
baby,
free.
come on.
231-231, enter keyword Crain. That's 231-231, keyword Crain, C-R-A-I-N. Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply. #1 doctor-recommended brand by primary care physicians based on an independent survey conducted by IQVIA 2022. And what's going on in the Booster Club?
All right, let's go, Booster Club. Remember, if you donate, you will get read, whatever you said, unless they're hockey names. I'm not reading them.
Yeah, he is.
I'm not reading them.
Yes, he is.
And make sure you hit that like button or not. I'm going to come up and show up as a dragon at your house. Let's go to Cole Frank, $2 donation.
What'd he say?
Let's guess. LeBron is mid.
Yeah.
MJ's the GOAT.
For sure.
This witch hunt is bad.
Thank you. It's an absolute witch hunt. Burgergate.
Burgergate. Let's go to Squid Pro Quo. $5 donation. She says, can I get a shout out for my daughter Avery, who has her first level up day today?
Really?
We watch every day and she claps when she hears Cone Talk. #Hail Southern.
Hey, happy level up day, Avery. That reminds me. Wait, today's the 26th, right?
It is.
My daughter, Ava, turns 6 months old tomorrow.
Does she really?
Wait, it feels like she was just born.
Dude, she's so precious.
February, March, April, May, June, July. 6 months old tomorrow.
She's so precious.
Thank you.
Adam's already 6'3".
Oh, yeah.
Congrats on that. Very taller than me.
I look up to him.
Oh, yeah. I wonder what Avery does when I talk, as she just cries. It's great. It's awesome. Let's go to Ethan Williams. What's up, Ethan? Said Harbaugh should absolutely just show up to the games anyway and bring a grill to cook burgers at halftime. What are they even going to do?
Come on. That's my point. Troll them to the highest order. Show up with the grill out a burger. Am I wrong? Didn't Penny Hardaway do this? Didn't Penny Hardaway,
Penny just showed up.
The head coach at Memphis, just say, nah, I'm going to coach?
I say, I don't think y'all are going to really do anything.
Now, look, before I get too carried away down that train of thought, like I said, if rules were broken, I'm not just for guys like ignoring punishment or not, standing up and taking responsibility for their actions. All I'm saying is we have a serious problem right now with the NCAA, the governing body of collegiate athletics. You're a former college athlete. I'm a former college athlete. I don't like seeing it. What is it going to take for someone to get in there and say, hey, the buck stops with me. We are going to have some consistency when it comes to penalties, when it comes to procedure, when it comes to rulings, so that we don't have situations like this.
Well, somebody needs to step up and really be a leader and actually deal with the situations that matter. And I don't think the situations that matter is Jim Harbaugh buying a kid a hamburger somewhere during COVID year. Right? It's got to be that. Like somebody, like the SEC's got who? Sankey. Right? Sankey steps up to the plate when he needs to step up to the plate. They just need to get away from the NCAA. I'm done with the NCAA. They need to be broken apart. We need to have something else.
Again, we're going to be talking with Coach and Senator Tommy Tuberville this week about name, image, and likeness legislation. YouTube, thanks so much for watching. Go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let's catch you on the next one.